11, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to repeat again. If you have not put your name and library into the chat, go ahead and do that so that we have a record of who all has been here today. I don't know where you guys are, but it's a beautiful day out here. I'd rather be outside, but here we are all together. So anyway, let's open up the meeting for any kind of public comments that anyone would like to bring forward. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah.
So anyone with public comments? All right, then we're going to go ahead and go on. It is with sadness that we announce that Brian Cleveland is no longer going to be able to be on the circulation committee. He has other duties now, and but it is with gladness and joy that we announce that Terry Mosier from Neosho is going to join us. And in fact, she has already been working on the working committee the working group that we set up last month. And so she's already been contributing to the committee, but her new contact information should be in that the agenda that I sent out, and we will get Ron Eifert to update the web page as soon as possible. But welcome to Terry. So we're glad she's with us. I wanted to do a little bit of a recap of what we had done so far on the working group. We met at the beginning of last week. The days ran together for me. Anyway, we met together and kind of parceled out, did some talking about what we thought needed to go into this recommendation, the reasoning behind it, and all of that. And then kind of divided up the work. So I wanted to show you, let me share here. So this is where we are at this moment. So here is basically the first paragraph is our reasoning and thought process for why we believe we need to purge and delete in the first place. And then what is in bold is the actual recommendation. Diane, who is either going or I'm not sure exactly, at the international conference, is working on step-by-step instructions for how you would proceed to actually do what we're asking you to do. And so that's why that last sentence, great, here's a recommendation, but how do we do it? So Diane is working on that part. So I wanted to just kind of bring it to the larger circulation committee, community, to see, does this make sense? Is there anything we need to add? Do we need to change wording? I would just like feedback before we would actually end up taking it to the executive committee. So I'll shut up and give you a minute to read through it, and then I really would like your feedback.
Consortium-wide data integrity will provide accurate statistical reporting to the state library and funds with necessary policy on personally identifiable data. It's current patrons. Should there be
Okay, committee, what do you think? Do we go with this? Do we need to do more tweaking? Do we need to meet together again?
I like it.
Could you go over the retention guidelines as well, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I don't know if I can even get to it from what I've shared. Basically, the retention guideline, it's on page 5. And this link should get you there. I just don't know that it'll do it from sharing the screen. So anyway, it basically says that user information that you have used to enter into the database for your users. So their name, their address, parental signatures, all of those type of things need to be retained for 2 years after they've expired. So that's why we decided to go with the 3 years to give a little bit more of a comfort level there for libraries. I think I've spoken with people from the state library, and they would really like to be dealing with reality, not just, I mean, Cass County, I can only speak for us. Cass County has never done a big deletion. And so I just ran some test numbers. We went back to 2000 and went to when we joined the consortium, which was, well, basically we did August 31st of 2018. And there was over 22,000 people that their library card had expired. Very few had we marked active, because typically we inactive, because that was typically something that we only did if a patron passed away or they moved away and were overly concerned that somebody might get their library card and start, there might be mischief on their account. So, but that's a fairly significant number. And that was before we came into Missouri Evergreen. So I think there would have to be perhaps some kind of asterisk or something on our records, because when we do this, it's going to look like, okay, 1 year we had this many patrons, and the next year we had a significantly big number of patrons who were no longer included in that report. And so, I think care is going to have to be taken to where we know we're comparing 1 year to the next year we're not comparing apples to apples, and perhaps making sure that our boards understand why we're doing it and that kind of thing.
Right. And a lot of that's going to be for the fact, a lot of this information, whenever we fill out the PL public library surveys that are due in November of each year. And basically there's going to be a big difference once we act on this as a consortium. And I know having that asterisk, as you say, having a reason as to why there is that big difference, and just saying it's because of this consortium have gone and they've made this a recommended policy, and basically the retention guidelines, they weren't a part of the original agenda that was sent out. So could you make sure that everybody gets that too, Rhonda, if you don't mind?
Sure.
So therefore, if they need to go to their boards or having a little bit more with that, then they would have all that information in front of them. Because a lot of times it's just going to be a procedure or a protocol, not necessarily a policy within our boards, but there might be some that want to let their library board know what's happening with their patron accounts and the overall deletion, if you will, of those long-standing inactive accounts that are still in our database. And we're just trying to clean them up.
Right.
And I know that was a part of our conversation a lot at the users conference as well. So, all right, thanks, Rhonda. I'll shut up now.
And
Is
I just
there
want to
a-
throw out there, I'm sorry, I'm gonna talk over somebody. Just for clarity purposes, inactive and deleted are two different things, which I didn't understand until I asked questions along the way with it too. That the deleted is a patron bucket situation, and you would generate reports locally to pull out those particular users that you wanted to make deleted, and then that would be what Equinox is deleting. The inactive isn't relevant for what they're going to take out.
I
Yeah.
see something in the chat real fast. The drop in patrons impact anything down the line statistically. Funding is based on your population of your district, not on the actual library card holders that you have. And actually it is kind of the state library's goal is to have those public library surveys reflect good information. And right now we have a whole bit of all these inactive or deleted patrons still in our database that are still being counted as actual patrons. And we need to actually really show realistic numbers over here. So actually, this was kind of one of the things that the state library has also kind of recommended that we do as well.
And just to go along with what you guys are saying with it being a large amount of numbers initially, Jefferson County Library, we've done this several times and try to do it periodically with it. It is a huge hurdle the first time, but if you keep up on it, the later times, it's something you can just fold into your normal procedures to get past. And just to throw out there too, there is flexibility built into this and stuff too, because like we expire, our cards are good for 3 years. I know the evergreen default is 1 year with it too. So there's going to be a little bit of a range in there too for how long people have their cards alive, but you have that local flexibility.
So when we migrated, we did a huge purging. Is that typical of migration? Right, so we just joined in 2020, so I mean, we will have a lot in there, but I don't think it's just gonna be ginormous, right, for us?
Well, you were lucky. When we
Yeah.
migrated, nobody suggested even that was a good thing to do. And so hence, that's why Cass County has pulled over all of these accounts that are just kind of sitting there. And
Right.
so I think it is going to be a part of the onboarding process, I think, to kind of clean up those records before they are brought into Missouri Evergreen. Leanne might be able to speak more toward that. I don't know if that is actually included yet. Or maybe Mickey might know but I think there's been discussion that's let's clean up things before we move, if at all possible.
Mhm.
Rhonda, you're absolutely correct. I think that's been part of Equinox's migration strategy as well. Those who came in under Equinox were directed in their initial migration to not bring over deleted records. And of course, they're very conscious of what records are being brought over into the database now. So I'm glad you brought that up. That is certainly something that has affected some of our past members who came in under Mobius and who have been in the consortium for some time. But I think all members should pay attention to what Sue was mentioning, was that it is really important that our numbers reflect reality. And the state library has been urging us for some time to get our actual user numbers cleaned up. So all I see is upsides on this project. And so I certainly recommend it highly.
Okay, if there is no further discussion, or if you think about it later and want to send me discussion, technically at this point, I'm going to say we're good to go to send this over to the executive committee. But please, if you think about this after we're off this Zoom call and you have concerns or anything that you would like to discuss more, please contact me. My email, of course, is out there and about. So send your emails to me, and then we will certainly address any kind of concerns that you might bring forward, or something that we haven't even thought about. So, okay. Mickey, can you give us a recap of that wonderful first users conference?
Yeah, let me get my camera on here, and I wanted to just tell everybody thank you so much for for participating in our very first ever Missouri Evergreen Users Conference. It was quite an event and a very hectic day and a half, and I have gotten some wonderful survey responses from those who were in attendance, either in person or remotely. And I'd urge all of you who were able to attend even one session to fill out that survey, please. It was sent out to you and to your directors a couple of times, and it should be in your inbox somewhere. Please take a moment and fill it out. Give us your feedback, because it's most important that we hear from you so we can improve next year's conference and make it even better. We have lots of great ideas and lots of great feedback from you, and I'm really pleased that we're able to put it on this first time with our limited resources and manpower, and that it was as successful as it was. And thanks everybody who pitched in to help and provide ideas and support and great ideas for speakers. We had some wonderful presentation sessions, and I'm just looking forward to next year. I've already got a million ideas that I know everyone wants to do presentations on, and we've got so many great, wonderful things to share. So I had a wonderful time, and I hope that everyone else enjoyed the conference as well. It will be a regular feature of Missouri Evergreen. We have so much to share with each other, and we have so many things going on in our member libraries. I can't see us ever going back to a situation where we didn't have a users conference, maybe more than once a year. Who knows? Thanks so much.
Hey, Mickey, can you tell how many people were actually there and how many joined online?
Sure. We had about a 50-50 split. At the end of the day, we had 92 registered participants. That would include our speakers as well. And so we had about 40, a little over 40 on site, and then the rest were remote attendees. We had quite a turnout in person, and we have learned from how to manage crowds, to provide more time in between sessions, that sort of thing, getting great feedback, like I said. And so, you know, with that kind of attendance and that kind of participation from members, I could only see this going forward in a really positive direction.
Okay, so I would also add to what Mickey has said, that if you have ideas of things that you would like to see topics brought to the users conference next year, it's not too early to get those ideas turned in, because if you're like me, you think of a great idea in April, and then by the time it gets around to when we're ready to kind of start finalizing what we might cover, can I remember that great idea any longer? No. So I'm just saying, Mickey, who would you like those ideas to go to?
Oh, please send them to me if you want. I will make sure that the right people get to them, or you can send them to you as committee chair, to any of the cataloging committee chairs. And we have a wonderful communication network here in Missouri Evergreen. So anybody who gets that information, I know will pass it along to the people who can help make it a reality.
Great. Okay, Leanne, are you on this call?
Yes, yes, I am.
Can you give a little recap of what happened at Barry Lawrence when we all got together?
Okay, yeah, we had a really great training day there at Monette, and I think there was around 32 of us that were in attendance there, so we had a nice group. I think there was something like 7 different libraries represented, I think, if I recall right. Yeah, Diane did a great job of going through, especially going over what's available on our website and the information that Equinox provides, and just making sure that people are aware of the resources that we do have as a consortium. So
It was fun to be down there. I had not ever, we got to see the new Monette library, which is awesome, by the way. So it was a great day. Plans are being made for the last of this round of regional trainings, probably happening the end of August, first part of September, and that would be the north kind of west quadrant of the state. I think there's plans moving forward to break it down a little smaller, perhaps in 6 groups, maybe 6 smaller training times, with the goal of keeping nobody having to drive over 2 hours to get to it. So those plans are moving forward. hopefully you'll be able to get information soon on those. Okay, anything else that we would like to bring to the committee?
Rhonda, you're my hero. You're my hero.
Oh,
For the people that don't understand why I'm saying those words, Rhonda has graciously will be going to Cedar County Library to help train their newly hired staff as they look to reopen that library as of May 1st. Rhonda, you want to talk a little bit more detail about what all is going to be happening there, or I'm like I said, you're my hero. I thank you so much for doing this for our whole consortium, and yeah, this is I really feel like since we were responsive so immediately to their needs, you are my hero, hands down. You are my hero. Big snaps.
well, I do know that Equinox is going to be doing some remote training with Cedar County staff, the new staff there on Friday. Of course, the El Dorado, however you say that, people are helping. They plan to be there also on Monday, and I will be there on Monday the whole day to we all know if you think back to when you were trained, there's watching it be shown to you, and then there's actually doing it with a patron in front of you. And so that's what we're really going to hit on Monday. Also, those things that might not have been covered by Equinox. 2 hours is a short bit of time for all the information. And I would say probably by the time we get done on Monday, their heads may be spinning. So just remember them. They're going to be trying to learn as quickly as possible and get up to speed. I would also say be patient. I think I'm going to be on call kind of that whole rest of that week for questions that could be coming in. Who knows? So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be great to meet them and kind of pull them in a little bit more to the greater Missouri Evergreen community. So, I mean, everybody is willing to help. It's just that I actually got permission from admin to go. So.
Well, we're very grateful for that, Rhonda, and thank you from me as well so much for helping out there. One thing this committee can do, I think, is sort of keep an eye on resource sharing, particularly with the Stockton location. They are determined to reopen for services, and there may be some hiccups, frankly, with the resource sharing, whether it's labels or the courier or whatever. So if this committee could just sort of keep an eye open for that and report any issues that you see to me, or to any member of the board, and let us know if we need to investigate any hiccups in resource sharing in the next month or so.
Hey, Mickey, do you know, is the courier actually set up to go to El Dorado at this point?
Yes, I believe that is the current arrangement, that we are going to be using the El Dorado location as the courier drop and pickup point until further notice. That could change, but that is the situation as of now.
And I
So
know that the
no-
labels are out there that has the El Dorado address on
You
mine.
bet. Thank you for mentioning that. Yes, throw away all your Stocktons for now. Cedar County will be taking and receiving deliveries at El Dorado until further notice.
So, and it is, I mean, I know Cass County has kind of held on to a few things that were supposed to go to Stockton, so that we can just now go ahead and rescan and send on to El Dorado.
I believe so. I think you can rescan. Just make sure that courier bag has the right label on it, and that's what's important.
Okay. Anything else?
I had one question this morning, and this is coming from one of our member libraries, because we don't charge out of county resident fees. We often get card requests from area communities. Is there a standard in Missouri Evergreen where if someone already has a card at a member library that it should be in good standing? before creating one at my branch or my location.
Yes, and hey, Sue, if you would just send me their email, I'll send them. We are going to be putting that recommendation that we finalized last month onto the website this month. And so it will be posted. But if you want to go ahead and shoot me an email of who it is, I can send them that information.
Sure, I had answered, but I will go ahead and send that to you, Miranda. I had answered that yes, there's two ways they can handle it. They could either look into Missouri Evergreen patron base themselves at the CERT desk, or they can ask the patron directly. And then they'll check the patron base too. But yeah, I had implied that it was probably a best practice. And that I even looked at the circulation policies, didn't really outline that particular, but it was implied. Especially for when we were talking about damaged and fine materials and patron records that do have balances on those accounts. So I did answer, but I will go ahead and I will make sure you get that as well. So therefore you can follow up, because now it will become part of the circulation policy, right? So,
No, we made it a recommendation. It is not.
okay.
It is not part of policy unless the executive board would like us to move it that way.
I think right now is the best practice, but that I knew that you were talking about that. So, but yeah, I'll just say it's going to be part of that best practices. And that's kind of where I leave, or that's where I directed her to go. So
Okay.
anyway,
Okay.
But-
Very good.
once again, a question from a member library. There are no silly questions. There are only questions that need answered, and we are here to answer those questions.
So perfect. I have a silly question. The conversation about expiring minors. Are any of you all still talking about that? And this kind of came on with the, state money situation, which has kind of cooled down. But as we're planning to go forward with this idea to get a signed consent by our parent guardians to allow their kids to have a card. And I wondered if anybody else was doing anything towards that.
I know we just recently had a discussion with our supervisors here at BLRL, and we are looking into doing the children's cards expiring whenever we determine to start going through with that. We haven't set a date or come up with a full game plan yet, but yeah, we are planning on setting them to expire, have a written paper that the parent or legal guardian has to sign in person before the card could be used by the child. And
So
they have to give permission, explicitly on the form for the child to check out without them being present and to have their own card. Otherwise, if they opt to not have their child check anything out, then they can only use like their parent's card.
So those accounts where the patron or the parent decides they don't want to continue the card, I'm going to end up putting those, Rhonda, in a bucket, right? Delete them and put them in a bucket. Yesterday, I ran the list of minors that show as minors in our system. We have exactly, which is so weird, 1,700. Exactly to the number, 1,700. And I pulled off about 100 that are not minors, that for some reason are still showing as minors, but they're in their 30s and 40s now. So I'll fix that. But so of the 1,700, I'm guessing most of them are going to sign for their kids to have a card. I'm guessing. So we will, I haven't figured out how we're going to, I guess the fact that they still have a card implies that they signed the document. You see what I mean? There's no way. That's why I asked the question the other day to Diane about, is there a way to put can an individual library add a button to the patron registration form that says, signed consent form, kind of a thing?
The one thing that I thought of, because I went and looked after I saw your email, you can't, there is a field called name keywords.
Uh-huh.
And it puts a flag or puts a flag up by their name on that left side of the screen when a patron is displayed. That could possibly be used if, I mean, in your own library as, but that was the only thing that I saw that wouldn't require something else.
Yeah, I don't want an
Yeah.
alert. I don't want a big old note that we have to, you know,
Right, I know our
manage.
director was concerned about, just in general staff liability, if a staff made a mistake. And then a child checked out something and the parent had signed that they did not want their child to check out. We're trying to do anything we can to prevent that so that it doesn't go down to where the staff, accidentally
No.
does.
And I think that the thing is, if they don't sign the form, their account will go away.
Right.
So they wouldn't be in that account theoretically. I mean,
Mhm. So that kind of takes some of the guesswork out and the
Yes.
liability on staff if there's just not an account for that child.
right.
And we plan to keep a notebook of all the signed forms, as reference as well.
That was my other question. Diane had said that, do you guys know what the law is on how long you have to keep a signed document? in your-
This falls under that same retention policy. I spoke with Robin yesterday about this. And she's still trying to work out what, in her mind, what we have to do for this. She did say the idea, somebody in the email thread had suggested saving all of your forms for the month, scanning them into a document, and then just having it, you would have it on a scanned, instead of having multiple pages of things, you would have one scanned document per month. So, and since it would all be in that month, you would be able to tell when you could delete it. But then she was like, well, if the minor is 2, you've got 15 years before this, that you might need to have some kind of documentation for what you've done.
Yeah, and for reference purposes as well, if staff is trying to check to see if that form has been signed, you need a way of alphabetizing them or some way to quickly look them up. But if you have, everything divided by month, you'd have to look alphabetically in each
Right.
month. For
Exactly.
number of years.
So I know Cass County is looking at having a sticker that is put onto their card. And if the sticker is, that basically, I haven't seen the wording, but whatever our wording is going to be, would be on that sticker. And if that sticker has been placed on the card, we know that a parent has given permission. That was the last that I heard from my admin. We're having a staff meeting on Thursday, so maybe I'll find out more, but that doesn't help us, at this meeting. So I think, I mean, Robin did say if you have questions, she would prefer that you just go ahead and call her as opposed to emailing her. So that was just what she said yesterday. Now, I guess if she gets 50 calls her, that may change, but that is what she said yesterday.
I also had a question for those that have run some reports. How exactly are you pulling your data for the minor cards? So I know we have, by birth date, but then we do like adult and children as a stat cat only. But our children and adults are all under our patron users.
Mhm. I ran mine yesterday from Profile Group.
But you have
Okay.
marked your children's as minors already.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
and see, ours are not in a separate profile group.
Yeah, then I wanted it that way all along because that was one of the things I had in our old ILS, was a great way to differentiate between the different users. So
So I'm thinking I'm probably going to pull a patron report in actual reports and then import the data into a bucket.
I'm wondering if Tony from reports might know just exactly the report or be able to
Make a
produce
template.
something that would, I'll reach out to him and at least see if he has any ideas to point us in the right direction. You can, I mean, reports are kind of give me a headache, I guess I would say sometimes, trying to figure out how to sort and filter, and if it's already there and done, that's great, but me trying to figure out all the is a little more problematic. So perhaps there's something that he already has or could produce for us.
All right, that would be good.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? All right, well, not hearing any other additions, I'm going to, do we have a motion to close this meeting?
I'll motion to close.
Thanks, Terry, and a second.
I'll second Meredith.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, have a wonderful day. I will send out that retention policy and talk to Tony to see what he can maybe do for us on reports.
Perfect.
All right, have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Rhonda.
Rhonda.